There have been heavyweight casualties in this Champions League mini knockout tournament, but few have been dramatic as those involving Lionel Messi and Pep Guardiola, whose happy days have been replaced by dark days of bitterness and the sound of a ticking clock. But it's not all doom and gloom, as Europe's new breed of heroes reminded us that the Champions League doesn't have to be an exclusive club for Europe's most famous establishments. Hello everyone, welcome along to the season finale of Kicking It with NairaBet. I'd like to introduce, of course, my co-host Tracy Chappelle, who goes by the alias Swore. Welcome along, Swore, to the final episode of the show.
Yes!
It's been a great run, eh?
Yes, fantastic run.
Kind of feels like the last day in school where there's just everybody's saying their goodbyes and whatnot. But
What school
we've had a great time.
School of life, school of hard knocks, school of betters, of punters. I feel very good because we all thought we weren't going to be able to tie this up nicely. But we are here, we are square, and I'm here. Team PSG, allez, ici Paris, and Boko.
Of course, it's good to also have you as well, Biola Kazim, who is a big friend of the house, I must say. It's been absolutely incredible to have you on the amount of episodes we've had you on, and I know you're a busy person.
I think about 4, yeah?
Thanks for being a part of it.
I think about 4.
About 4 there,
yeah, not too bad.
Right. But of course, we have been absolutely inundated with your messages across social media, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of the banter, which has been all through an 11 months football season. But let's start off with some Champions League football, which has been pretty much what August has been all about. How about say we start off with PSG, who are in the final for the first time. Thomas Tuchel also. I mean, it's been a long run for them. It's been a long time coming, I should say. And in many ways, they have become a laughing stock because of the elaborate mess they made of their journey with a financially superior budget and a huge squad. But it's the peculiar season that they finally made it through.
Maybe in some sense, COVID-19 and the sort of measures UEFA and other league, operators had to take in some way probably worked for clubs like PSG, because now the path to making the final obviously was, a lot easier. If there wasn't COVID-19, it would have been two-leg affairs. We would have seen a bit of drama. Last year, they were 2-0 up at Old Trafford against United, contrived to lose it 3-1. In this scenario, they just had to win one game. You go through, you win another one, you go through, and here they are in the final. It's hard to, in some sense, begrudge them their success particularly because of the audacity of getting Neymar.
Yeah.
This was the reason why they got Neymar.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was to win the French league and they were doing all of this before they bought Neymar, but Neymar was supposed to be like the final push, and they're almost at the finish line, but they face a really formidable opponent in Bayern Munich, who have a lot of know-how.
Yeah.
Who we have seen the way they dispatch Chelsea and Barcelona. Obviously, the game against Lyon wasn't their classical performance, but you could still see bits in it about how dangerous they can be. You just watch the way they play and you watch how PSG play, and you know that this is going to be a really, really cracking final. So I had to begrudge PSG, like I said, the audacity to go ahead and get Neymar, but the hump of Bayern will be really formidable.
We'll get to Bayern in just a bit, but so let me bring you in now, because PSG have been very deliberate about the players they've gotten. The profiling has been clear from day one since they found the petrodollars, has been popularly called. But in the past, they were associated, of course, with skillful players who weren't quite mentally up to the game. But what have you liked about them the most in this bubble?
I feel like it's interesting you mentioned the fact that mentally, the former players they had, even the Cavani that has just left and all that, they were not mentally strong because of
stories of this world.
Exactly. Skillful, technically sound, brilliant passes, great understanding of the game, but when push comes to shove, they just crumble like a pack of biscuits. What I see now with the players on this particular PSG front is the average age is about 21, 22. Young boys, hungry boys, and they managed to take the directive of Tuchel and they run through it. I could see them losing in games in the quarterfinal. Normally they would lose those games, but instead they dug deep. Normally you would see them losing to games like in the semi-final. Yeah. Instead they dug deep as well. And I like the fact that he's bringing back a little bit of the romantic kind of French football that we used to know from the Platini days when he was manager in France, like 91, 92. I didn't watch it well and understood, but when I watched my YouTube, I understood better why people like Paquet, the one that won France,
and Jacquet.
Jacquet, why they were able to incorporate that, because you see their midfielders were the key guys for me. They were able to release balls as quickly as possible, so you could get the boys like Mbappe or Neymar. And even when Mbappe was not firing at 100%, he still managed to make things work. And then talk about the beauty of Marquinhos, a short man.
We're going to talk about that midfield just a bit. We're going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really important point you made about mental, because they've not been too far from this level before. I remember a couple of years ago they beat Barcelona, I think 3-0 in the first leg. Contrived to lose. Was it 6-4 or something, or
I think it was it 6-1 or something,
or something like 6-1 or something like that. And then last year against Manchester United, they won 2-0 at Old Trafford. Went back home, cracked the game mentally. But like I said, this format probably suited them. And like you rightly mentioned, mentally, I think that maybe there was just a different edge, to this team. Some people have also said that this is the first time that Neymar has stayed fit for them all through this phase of the Champions League.
Player.
Not just fit, exactly.
Even physically, typically gets injured in match.
He's not in the drama.
Typically gets injured in match. I don't the end of the season, but I mean, he's here. He's playing really well, missing a lot of chances, but my God, it's very difficult to cope with. So the profile of the players they've signed over the past maybe couple of seasons changed. So they brought in players like Gueye, and Herrera, not necessarily the flair kind of players that you will expect, but when you bring in players like that who are not necessarily technicians, they're decent on the ball, but they will graft a bit of craft, but a lot of graft will give you a bit of skill. I mean, they will fight and really make life difficult for opponents. So does look like Tuchel finally got it together, but you know how it works. You absolutely have to win. You absolutely have to win.
Let's just wrap up on PSG. Do they now have the two best footballers in the world in that team? I mean, given what has happened with Messi and Ronaldo, obviously, do they have the two bona fide best players in the world?
I mean, in terms of skill sets, you probably will say so. Mbappe and Neymar are in some ways similar, but somehow slightly different. They are the two best attackers in the world. If
next gen stuff,
they are really good to watch. That much I'll say. I mean, Neymar constantly dribbling, running. Mbappe.
Pace.
The thing about Mbappe's game that I like is so focused on scoring. He's so focused on creating opportunities. Not for him, all that stuff that Neymar does, all that trick. If he does a trick, it is towards scoring. For a 22-year-old boy. And that was exactly how it was at the World Cup. France gets the ball, he's running behind or into the channel, he gets a pass, it's a goal. And that really is still how he's playing. I'm wondering what the ball will be like when he's about 25, 26. Because if he still keeps this level of hunger and all that he has, his pace, his shooting, he's got literally everything. And he can play pretty much in every position going forward. On the left, on the right, through the middle. He gets a chance, he scores. If he's not scoring, he's creating opportunities. So it's hard to say Messi and Ronaldo are the best players in the world right now. You will imagine that maybe somebody like a Lewandowski, just for his sheer goal scoring, probably will be in that conversation. But in terms of the entire package, maybe Neymar and Mbappe ahead of him.
Two best players in the world?
Definitely next generation stuff. But it's interesting you talk about Mbappe because for every other person that has won the World Cup, they always get that ego, or they were close to the semi-finals. They are always very proud, and you see that in their kind of play. But imagine the two players that should be egomaniacs. They are feeding off each other's energy.
They
didn't even need Icardi in the game. I swear that. No, it's not an egomaniac, but the guy don't dial him down a notch small, because right now, like we all see, the Neymar that we see now,
just mature.
He wants to get
Mbappe
trophies.
to some extent is high maintenance, but when they get on the pitch, they do the business. But PSG,
on the ball,
they know what pace to
manage them.
on the ball, they know
them.
what they need to do, and they know what they have to do, and they don't have to do drama about it. And it's interesting to see for players that are in early 20s and in the middle of their 20s. So for me, yes, definitely. After Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, my boyfriend, and Mbappe, my small brother.
Well, Kylian Mbappe and Neymar are one of the two best players in the world, and certainly the goals between them, 49 this season so far, shows that they have, of course, put themselves on the front foot right there. And let's talk about Bayern Munich, who are their opponents in the final. And Biola, you just touched a little on Bayern Munich before we are going to, of course, do an extensive analysis on them. They're such an incredible team to watch. And when you think about the problems they had in the last 18 months, the shortcuts they've taken to become the dominant European force now, how did they come about that?
I mean, to be honest, it wasn't what anyone was expecting. Flick inherited a rabble. They were going nowhere with cover. They won the league title, and then the season started, and all sorts of stuff was going on. Eventually, they cut the plug and tried Flick, as caretaker manager. Results came, and they bit the bullet and went with him. And from that point on, they've looked a completely different team. The main thing for me about Bayern, in terms of how they play, is that they are incredibly simple in how they play. There's literally no player on the pitch there who tries any sort of tricks. Everybody, it's one track.
Yeah.
The way that they play very high up, from the back, and once they get into the wide areas, it's almost predictable, but almost unstoppable at the same time. Also, for me, the athleticism in the side, they're all runners. Everybody's working really, really, really hard. So I think that those are the two things that Flick has brought about. They keep their shape really, really well. They probably will always concede goals, given how high up they play, and how literally attacking players right now are very fast. We saw a bit of that against Lyon, even against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea got behind them a few times, but they are going to outscore you. They are going to outgun you, and that literally is almost like their approach. Like, look, you go score as many as you want to score.
Yeah.
We're going to shoot you dead. So for me, the simplicity with which they attack and the athleticism running through the side, they would overrun you, they will outwork you, they will outscore you. And if you have a player like Lewandowski, who, to be honest, has been quite profligate in this tournament, but eventually you'll get on the score sheet, won't he? And then you have Serge Gnabry, who when it looks like things are a bit tight, he can create.
He's a clutch player.
Absolutely, he can create one or two things and either get a goal or create a chance. They are just a very, very efficient unit.
Yeah.
They don't have players like Neymar who can try a moment, of brilliance that everyone will go about. But as a collective, and young Alphonso Davies is an incredible footballer. He's only 19.
Yeah.
The kind of things he does on the left-hand side, I think...
His box office.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that fullbacks, left fullbacks, indeed all fullbacks across the world should be watching how that young man plays. He's 19, and for me that's just it. He's 19 years old. To play at that level, he was brought in from Canada just 2 years ago to develop so quickly, so fast, mentally as well. You should watch his interviews. It looks like no imposter syndrome. It looks like he's right at home.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about Bayern. Very simple, very efficient, and there's a look and feel about them that makes them look inevitably champions.
Yeah. Is it the best Bayern Munich team? Is it the best team that has ever played for Bayern Munich? Joachim Watzke, the Dortmund director, said they're probably the best team to ever play for Bayern Munich. And you will give us a bit of historical perspective as to that, but it's hard.
I don't remember a lot of things these days, but that's fine.
It's hard to argue against it.
You can't say that because you have a Bayern Munich that had people like Philipp Lahm. There's never been, in my opinion, a centre back as
a fullback,
right back,
or a fullback or a right back, because he could do a lot of things in that defensive position. Like him, you had people like, not even the Alaba of now. Alaba, when he was just coming up, he was just redefining what it meant to be on the flank for a defensive position. What he's doing now, he had to shift into a centre back position because
and
of
really
Alphonse,
well
and he's doing so very well.
There.
There's something you said, Viola, about the fact that Bayern, they don't do so much. They already know what they want for their. It's the same structure for their diamond shaft. It's what they have.
Yeah.
So they know that this slot is for a guy that's an Okada rider. This side is for the guy that knows how to use Molway. This side is for the guy that knows how to. So nobody has like, I have to overdo. What you get is a player maybe like a Gnabry that has a little bit of trickery in his box, because that's why he's the kind of clutch player. It was easy on some level for Lyon to set up against them. That's why I'm very, very eager to see what Paris Saint-Germain will be able to do, because they have a better grounded and a deeper squad than Lyon, and they play similar style as Lyon. So Lyon didn't have like sharp strikers that could do what was. Kambi was just faffing around. But if you get that comparison against a Bayern side that you already know what to set up for, you know what they will bring.
Yeah.
It's just that, can you match up the athleticism? Can you be 110 for 100 minutes or 90 minutes and extra? I feel like this Bayern side is very good. They are a good credit to the kind of quality of work that Flick and his team has managed to do. Of course, because they didn't have too much interference from the board, like the other guys that were like, we brought you here. Come and tear everything, new generation. Flick didn't have that kind of drama. They just told Flick, see guy, I beg, every other cast, I beg, 2 seconds, anything if you do. Help us. It's not
a very good job. I'm not sure this is the best Bayern team.
But this is not definitely
not quite sure. I want to talk about
think so.
a player like...
Not too far off, though.
But I would say this, though, when we're talking about Bayern, I have to give them kudos, because Bayern is one of those sides that you see small boys, teenagers. Alphonso Davies, that boy, when we say... Now, Onga make they play like that, because if you see his interviews, you go no say, oh boy, they're carrying me come Canada. I'm not stay for cold place. I just need to play ball.
Yeah.
I'm coming though. And then you see the Alabas of the world, among others. You see small boys. Koeman is an example. You saw
Not
them
even Joshua
grow.
Kimmich.
You see them.
Yeah.
Joshua Kimmich as
Kimmich is
well.
25 now.
That's the player I actually wanted to talk about.
Kimmich is 25.
Is there a player in European football who multitasks at the level he'd multitask? You know, there's a difference between multitasking and you're good at one thing, then you're, you know, a bit average at the others. He does everything almost at the same level.
Yeah, and he gets what, a lot for. I mean, he's a really, really good player. He's a really, really good player. I mean, Swart, touched on a really good point about Bayern playing young players. But here's the thing: quality young players, they just don't give opportunities because you are young. The talent level is always incredibly high.
Consistent.
And once you have a very high talent level, the work of a manager is a lot easier.
Yeah.
And that's what we see at Bayern. Because they're so big in Germany, they have an unending pipeline of the best young German players. All the young German players want to play for Bayern. So eventually, somehow, through some transfer or running out their contract, they always will end up at Bayern. And the environment there is just almost perfect if you are a player who's focused and wants to win. Because it's a high performance environment as well, they are quick to cut off players who are not exactly, and managers as well who don't seem like they are meeting.
They don't like antics.
Helps them as well that the entire structure of this club is run by former players who were also at the highest level, from Franz Beckham, right down Hassan Ali as well. I remember him winning the Champions. That's the entire. So the whole club is excellence running through. The players pick up that vibe, and when they get on the pitch, and they go and deliver. When they have their dips, which delivered over the past few years, they quickly recover and eventually go on and win the Bundesliga. I think that the claim to fame for this side will be to win the Champions League and then become a treble winning team. And then that gets them a big closer. So for me, the best Bayern side I've seen maybe in the last 15, 20 years probably has got to be the Jupp Heynckes side. That won the treble, a few years ago. That was an incredible side. This one is probably the next best Bayern side. I think that the Heynckes side was just a bit more pleasing to watch aesthetically. There's nothing wrong with this Bayern side. They are just so there's no complexity in how they play.
So that's why
it's just
no complexity.
Front and score.
Extremely simple, extremely efficient. So I joke with my friends, like, I'm not sure players like Muller really enjoy playing the game. They play like they have gone to work. Like
the briefcase.
Clock in, clock out. 6
so
o'clock.
I think that's the difference. With the Heynckes side, there were a few players in there who brought a bit of style, a bit of panache, a bit of flair. This side is the simplicity is the beauty here. You just have to enjoy how simple they are.
It's an incredible team, I must say, Bayern Munich, and I'm sure they've had so many admirers across the world. They've actually not lost a game since December, and of course that's a fantastic run to have if you're a Bayern Munich team. I wanted to talk about, just before we leave that Champions League final conversation, about the one-legged format versus the two-legged format, and it's drawn lots of fans in this small bubble in Lisbon. Would you be a proponent of having it continue across many seasons?
Oh, it's a new thing, so naturally people will be drawn to it. Also because we've seen some. Like I said earlier, there are a few teams that you see here and you feel like if it was over 2 legs, they probably wouldn't get here. Lyon, for instance, against Manchester City. If the first leg was 3-1, you still fancy the chances of Manchester City anywhere, whether at the Etihad or in Lyon, to get one over them. So that format has worked, and obviously, anytime an underdog gets one over one of the top dogs, people connect to it and they like it. But the sheer economics of football means that it can simply not happen, because that's a lot of money you're leaving behind on the table just for people to be excited about a knockout format. You've got to have teams going and out of the countries. You have TV rights, the number of matches that you play. Also, there is the sports tourism component of it, where people are flying in and flying out. There's match.
So there's much
match day income
intertwined with
absolutely. The money's involved is way too high. The one-leg format is exciting. I like it, but I understand why it will not become permanent.
Biola makes an incredible point as far as the economics of the two-legged formats. But if the Champions League is crucial that the Champions League, because it is such a cash cow, every time managers talk about the Champions League, they talk about how it would impact the club's revenues. But when managers talk about the Europa League, they never really tie it to the financial remuneration that comes with it.
It's a track to get to the Champions League.
Track to the Champions League, rather. But it almost always feels like a burden to play in the Europa League because of the amount of games, the distance you have to travel to. Would it rather work in the Europa League to, compress that format into a one-legged affair? Does it make it more glamorous?
One thing I'll say is, one thing for the Europa is, what a lot of the managers that talk about or talk down on the Europa, pay the fuck off. Why? Because Europa, now the side chick when they like to eat. Yeah. when you need it, like Arsenal, like all those other
embracing
Ayers,
like-
they're like, oh, let me hold on to you. You're the only
Even
woman in
United,
the life.
if Tottenham are already embracing it and the league hasn't started.
Up until 5 years ago,
They love it.
anybody that played Europa, so you play Europa, shame. But suddenly now, Europa now is the stone that everybody rejected.
But it's a very good point you made,
Yeah.
Yudi, about maybe Europa considering.
Because we've
Yes,
watching
maybe-
Europa League
yes,
this
it's
season.
always easy
because
for you to
from the
say-
second round you play home and away, quarterfinals you play home and away, semi-final. It's quite a number of games.
Here's the thing: if you
Some teams actually play a lot of. I mean, you
Yeah, for the
sometimes
qualifiers,
you
yeah.
play like
Wolverhampton
Yes.
Wanderers played, I think, a
It's
total
so
of
many
65
games,
games this
thereabouts.
season. They have played 9 games already.
if it's for
in
qualifiers,
December,
I
Europe.
can understand that because many of these fields that they go to, Alaja Grammar School field, no offense, my village school field better pass those field. Like you can't even slide on the grass. If not, all your knee will just fall off. But I'll say this though, maybe if they want to try the one format, they could try it up until quarterfinal, and then they can give us back to back. That's viable.
the reality of the matter
most
as
people
well.
don't even watch.
The reality of the
those
matter
games
as well
as
is
opposed
that
to
even in
those.
Europe. So, for instance, United typically do between 3 to 5 million pounds, match day revenue. So, I mean, if you add second round, quarterfinal, semi-finals,
Yeah.
that's about what, between 9 to 50 million pounds.
Yeah.
From match day revenues alone, that's significant money. So it's the economics of it. It's not because
If
I
it's
mean.
not broke, don't fix it.
It's money. Fundamentally, to come down to money, the amount of money you get in Champions League is directly proportional to the number of games that you play and how far you go.
Yeah.
So yes, this format, we've liked it. It has really, really been engaging, and knowing that you are watching this game is 90 minutes, you either win or you're going home,
Yeah.
is really interesting. But the reality of the matter is that the two-legged format also has its own excitement as well. And eventually, when it comes back, don't be surprised that the same fans who are saying they want one leg now are happy that this. So once there's a trend, people are always going to say this. But typically, when you come down a bit and think it through,
I think naturally human beings just get used to stuff. I mean, we're used to
the
watching
main
football without
element
fans
for
now.
me that a lot of people complain about, but I think that is crucial, is that away goal rule. Whether you like it or not, a lot of people don't like it. But I think that it's probably the most fantastic thing.
It levels everywhere.
Absolutely.
Here's my final thought on this though. I would say this: when it comes to whether should they change it or not, all I just want is, can they keep it for one more season?
No.
See, is this
not gonna
wait,
happen.
right now? Is it you that's the man? I'm talking to the people that are.
I'm a money man.
Wait now. See,
Show me the money.
All I just need them. Hey, Maguire, calm down. Like, all I need is one. Just give me one, because it had been like ever since I was small. All I saw was two times.
Yeah.
Now just one touch.
It's a refreshing.
It's
a refreshing
One
change.
refreshing view.
It was kind of cool. It was like I was playing PS. Like, my guy, we know they play back to back again. This one, we die here.
Yeah.
I liked the attitude, because
Yeah.
if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have seen people like Leon or Manchester City be like, they were flabbergasted.
We certainly wouldn't say Leon.
Leon.
I don't think that over 2 legs.
Ronaldo.
Man City,
Ronaldo?
I mean, I don't think so.
What
I don't
the-
think so. I think that over 2 legs, Man City
Yeah,
will have
just
gotten past
as
them.
we wrap up on this Champions League competition, before I take your predictions as far as who you think will win the final, there has been I stumbled upon a couple of articles, opinion pieces that said, the fact that PSG are in the final, Bayern Munich are in the final, there's an argument for fatigue against the freshness. You think about the other European teams, the Premier League teams, obviously, the Spanish teams who had a bit elongated season. German football ended sometime in June. PSG never played the game. Of course, they played the Coupe de la Ligue and all that stuff. Has that positively affected them, even when we all thought it would be negative for them?
These are talking points, and they are talking points that have always extended the game. I remember many years ago when everybody was talking about how in England they have to have the winter break, or it affects them in Champions League. We had a period where I think we had about consecutively 5 English teams in the final of the Champions League. It didn't affect them. We only hear these stories when things don't work out. I mean, we saw Man City against Lyon. That wasn't the problem of fatigue. In fact, what some people can say is that PSG and Lyon haven't stopped playing the league for about 4 or 5 months. Probably should be the ones who are disadvantaged, because you lose your competitive edge. You lose some rhythm if you are not playing. Lyon, when they played against City, I think that was their second game in 5 months. Ideally, you would have thought that they would
they have
struggle.
friendlies in between.
Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah, but
that
I mean,
was
not
not
competitive
even
games. So you'll have thought that maybe they're the ones who struggle for rhythm, who struggle for cohesion, and competitive edge. But they found it. So like I said, we've been hearing all of this stuff about some people have played way too long and it's impacting them. There was a period where we've had Champions League semi-finals where you had 3 teams, and these were the same teams that played all through December, when all the guys they were knocking out were resting in December. I'm not saying that fatigue, and all of tiredness and all of those things don't add up sometimes, but they only become talking points if Man City and whoever it is got into the final. We wouldn't be talking about this. So it is what it is. Teams know their schedule. The job of the manager is to plan that schedule and plan the workload in such a way that when they get to the end, and we've seen, English teams have won trebles, haven't they?
Yeah.
In the same context where teams from the other leagues, are resting in December. The job of the manager is to look at squad, plan out his schedule, and make sure that they are ready. You mentioned Wolves, playing as many as 65 games.
Yeah.
I mean, game against Sevilla, probably they had run out of legs.
Yeah.
But they were able to physically stay in many games way beyond what we expected. And that was a very small squad.
Yeah.
Even made smaller by the fact that the manager, Nuno, probably had time for only about 16 players. Was probably always playing the same group of players. Exactly. And somehow, so your job is with your fitness, with your conditioning coach, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
But these guys get paid £10 million per annum.
job.
I don't get paid that much, so they should figure it out.
I don't get paid that much, and I'm told to work overnight too. Please,
So, I mean, is it a fair time to take off the Farmers League lingo away from French football, because we've seen their teams represent on a very good level? Is it? I mean, we love football banter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Is that a bit exaggerated now?
It's not
Most banter
exaggerated.
is
It's not
exaggerated.
exaggerated. I like
What's
it.
banter if it's not extreme?
See, I like the fact that you can say stuff like Farmers League, because if you yab somebody and I own the yab, that makes me a boss.
But it touched the run, didn't it?
No, no,
Because
no,
when Leon knocked down Manchester City,
No.
literally everybody was
No, see, even the Farmers League, what does a farmer do? A farmer, he plants seed, he tills the ground.
And harvest.
Thank you. They are harvesting dividends of their democracy. Whether they are harvesting players to go and sell to England or whatnot, fantastic. Whether they are harvesting a new style of crop of
When I
players.
saw Mbappe's tweet, I laughed really hard.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so this thing touched it.
He pen up. He shock him. Then he pen up.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this though, I don't mind using it. But I feel like they can hone that thing now, because if they use them as franchise, come and plant your players in the Farmers League where we make things happen and we shock the world. Bam,
But I think
they're good to go.
they can actually spin it.
They can hold it.
To be honest, I mean, so banter is banter.
Yeah.
But I think that, in general, I think that we all underrate the quality of talent that the French league not only produce but also keep.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good players in France.
Yeah.
Really, really good
Really
players
good
in
players,
France. Really, really good players. So to that extent, people call it the Farmers League because people think that the best players are only in England, Spain and all whatnot. But France steadily over the past maybe 2 decades or what
30
have
years
constantly produced high-level players. I mean, look at the collection of centre-backs that they've
Ridiculous.
we have about 6 top-level centre-backs who are 25 years old or less, and there's a whole motley group of people like Saliba, younger players who are
Coming through.
already showing the talent to play at the very, very top. So, is it fair? Banter it's not supposed to. It's supposed to make people laugh. It's supposed to get under your nerve.
We
Yes.
need to take predictions for the Champions League.
Oh,
actually.
I just wanted to say this though. One of the reasons why, especially a lot of English speaking football lovers always look over the French people, is because we know they realize most of Francophone Africa, they go there. Now straight move from, let's say I'm a Cameroonian, I have interest in football. I can go to the Le Havre, I can go to any football academy there,
Yeah.
and they grow them. They don't pay so much.
I mean, that's actually a very, very good point. That's a very great point.
So really, it is a farmers league, because what the other leagues will not do, they do that.
They're
I
ready to
believe
get their hands
they are
dirty.
the most. I think they are the league that develops the most African footballers.
The transition
because-
from Francophone Africa to France
It's
is a
easy.
lot
It's
easier.
almost direct.
Because that's
and
one of the reasons they don't blue.
It's a lot
Because they
easier
don't
if you're a
blue
really,
from
really good
Algeria
player. There's a
to
level
France.
that the EPL is at that you literally cannot transit from Nigeria directly to the
At
EPL.
all.
Yeah.
But in France, you can. I mean, Samuel Eto'o, George Weah, quite a number of players have just moved very, very quickly. Actually, I
Just
think
pick
Eto'o
up your bag
moved
and
to
go.
Spain.
Yeah, to Spain,
But
actually, yeah.
but in terms of the relationship between Francophone Africa and France, I think that the path for young players to quickly get into European football is a lot smoother.
Yeah.
It's a lot smoother than Anglophone Africa, where no matter how good you are in Ghana, Nigeria, wherever else, getting into England directly is a little bit difficult.
You have
So
to
that
branch
extent-
through Volkswagen, through
Right.
Qarabag.
So let's take predictions for the Champions League final. I mean, it's one of the most evenly poised finals in a long
and I think
time.
will be the most enjoyable
Yeah.
because
No, but-
most fans are emotionally disengaged.
Yep.
So
Right.
typically, maybe a team you like or a team you hate are in the final. So let's imagine that Real Madrid got there. Barcelona fans don't want Real Madrid to win.
course.
Vice versa as well. If Manchester United got there, quite a number of people don't want, or Chelsea or Man City or Liverpool or whoever it is. But this is a final where a lot of fans are. I mean, you can't tell me that there are millions of Barcelona fans in Nigeria. I mean, Bayern fans in Nigeria, or millions of PSG fans. We just want to watch football and enjoy it. If I were to pray, I literally just can't look beyond Bayern. I mean, their start going to this final is absolutely what I think they've won all 10 games in the Champions League this year.
won all 10 games.
Like I said, they don't complicate things. They play like a machine. They look like a well-oiled, well-drilled, machine. And obviously, a few chinks in the armor that you think that, particularly Mbappe and Neymar, that gap, that they leave behind when they play the high line. We saw it in the game against Lyon as well. How easy it can be sometimes to create chances against them. Even Barcelona started well against them.
Yeah.
And like I said, in the 2 games against Chelsea got behind their defense, a few times. So invariably, I think that PSG will get behind them. Mbappe and Neymar, their skill set perfectly suited to exploit that. But I just think that in total, as a team, as a collective, there's just these guys just look inevitably. They look like the inevitable champions. It's difficult to look at this Bayern side after 90 minutes of football, the way they play, ending up on the losing side. They just have too many answers to whatever questions it is, that anybody poses.
Fantastic, actually brilliant.
He said inevitable, and I thought of Avengers when people just snap their fingers and say, "I am inevitable." But then again, I feel like France, they also have the Iron Man and the Thors of the world, by the way of Mbappe and of course Neymar. But funny enough, I feel like the battle will be for say Mbappe versus Alphonso Davies, who is a very pacey guy, very athletic, and he was one of those that were able to tie down for a long time for inside the Lyon game, Ivan Perisic too. So definitely it's a romantic vote, but I feel like there is enough ginger and enough juice for this PSG side to get this, because don't forget, people thought about the same thing when Porto won the league. They thought.
So let's be clear. PSG are not going into this as underdogs.
Right.
They are not.
They are not going to this as they can beat Bayern. That much is clear.
Every punter, if you check the website and you see the odds for this game on the NairaBet site, you even see that even NairaBet joined the bandwagon of people when say if 10 people they say who go win, 8 people say Bayern. 2 people say maybe Paris Saint-Germain. Who go?
Like I said, PSG are not going to this as underdogs, but Bayern will go into it as favourites. Also, the historical perspective will come in here. This is Bayern's, I think, 4th final in the past, I think, 8 years or something like that. They've won the Champions League now, I think, 4 times or 5 times. So there's the history is steep, and then you look at the side, how they are playing, the chemistry between the team.
It's not the first time they've been overwhelming favourites and lost.
To be honest, yes. That's why I love this one. Look,
that's why I love
the reality of the matter is that if PSG beats them, we're not going to be very surprised.
Yeah.
But if you go into a game, you should be able to put your cards on someone. And I think that, like I said, you just look at how Bayern play, and you feel like at the end of 90 minutes, they probably will always end up as winners. That's not because the opposition didn't do well or didn't try. There's just a look about this Bayern side. There's a knowing, there's a simplicity, there's an athleticism, there's a winning mentality about this side that just makes you feel like they have too much, probably even for the PSG.
There's something I'll say though. Muller said something when he did his post-match conference after they discombobulate, annihilate, and abrogate the destiny out of Bayern, Barcelona. And he was like, after we play games like this and we score, usually we don't have extra again. So he said that, and when I started seeing how they shaped up against Lyon, I was like, not be lie you. And then I looked at several games when they did some Bavarian blistering, a matchup that they beat Augsburg and the rest. The next game they will play against Schalke, you will see them struggling. So it's a good thing that there's like 3 days or a couple of days or so space before the final. But regardless of that, I feel like they don't score within their fee score. Right now, if there's an element of surprise, I feel it could come from the Parisians, and I will vote for them.
Right, fantastic. Brilliant thoughts from the guys as far as who they think would be champions come Sunday, and I'm sure you have multiple opinions as far as that topic goes. How about say you hit us up on social media, be a part of the conversation, use the hashtag Kicking It with NairaBet, and of course follow us on Twitter at KNairaBet, and of course all bets are exclusive to the website www.nairabet.com. Welcome back to our season finale of Kicking It with NairaBet. Biola Kazim and Swar are still here. So we've got 100 million Naira up for grabs, but here's how you've got to win it. So first, you log in, change your password, and you get 1,000 Naira on the first bet you make. All the bets, of course, are courtesy of www.nairabets.com. Pretty easy, isn't it? Right then, Biola, let's get back into our football conversation. And across the Champions League season, we've seen lots of multiple schools of thought. Attacking football was destroyed, or rather, the moment Julius Nagelsmann won against Atletico Madrid and of course defeated Tottenham back then in the round of 16, it was almost the final nail in the coffin, supposedly, of attacking football. But then Pep got beat by Lyon, and of course we're seeing PSG in the final with an interesting model of play. What is the future of this two school of thoughts, attacking football versus defending?
I think that it will always be what it is. contrasts is what makes anything exciting. Like, all football teams cannot play the same way, all managers cannot play the same way. If that becomes it, then everything becomes boring. So you need that contrast, and I think that the future for both sides of football, this is how it's always been, this is how it will always be. Both schools of in quotes of thought will always have periods where it looks like, oh, this is the direction that football is going, but every other time you'll be reminded that the other side of football as well, is still valid. So I mean, my opinion is that however fantastic it is that you want to play, or however horrible it is that you want to play, the most important thing in sport is to win. And then re-legislating wins are saying they are not good enough because someone didn't play in a particular way. But when teams who play in a particular way lose, their fans are sad. Why? I thought they were supposed to be happy that they played well and they lost. You get the point I'm trying to make. So, all of these things are good for drama, for banter, for us to have it. But the reality of the matter is that, so I give you a simple example. Lyon, Manchester City, Lyon. Pep Guardiola, whether you like it or not, went for a level of pragmatism because he wanted to try to cope with, Lyon and how they...
Was that necessary, though?
Is it necessary?
Did he overthink it?
Was he trying to play them respect? Guy, I respect you. Now make I bring my boys.
Managers do that, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. If we say overthink, then you have to use that same word for every manager. It can't be that one manager overthinks, then other managers, football has left them behind, they are finished, they should go and manage national teams. It really doesn't make sense. So if you say he overthinks and everybody's overthinking, if other people are making mistakes, it's a normal manager. Their whole idea that is on one, it doesn't make any sense. The numbers are there. It's been at Manchester City now for 4 years, they spent about £700 million. They can't get past the quarterfinals. Pellegrini is as regular as any coach can be. He won the league at Man City in his first attempt. He got sacked in China, got sacked in West Ham. That's his level. And Pep Guardiola has come here supposed to be the magician. He's changed football, yadi. Like, the 4 times they've been knocked out of the Champions League, they went into those games as favourites. They got knocked out against Monaco. It was, I think, the first time, second round. They actually won the first leg.
Was he scarred by that episode? Because
I don't know if he's scarring. The reality of the matter is that Champions League is a tough competition. Only very few managers have won it 3 times. Even the biggest managers have won it twice. So to that extent, he's won it twice. Some credit. But this whole idea that he's in a different league, the numbers don't justify it, and that's the point I'm trying to make here. It's very simple. He spent £700 million, 4 years. There's no manager in the world who has had the kind of autonomy he has had in building this squad. If he asks for the head of Messi, they will bring it right to him. He's had everything he wants. They built the whole club in advance for him to come. There's no single excuse you can make for Guardiola not being able to get past the likes of Monaco and the beating by Lyon was comprehensive. Everyone could see the problems with Man City. He couldn't crack it, and they lost. And look, the numbers are stark. He's played 13 knockout games at Manchester City. They scored only 17 goals in those 13 knockout games. But hear what? They've considered 30 goals in those games. That's not overthinking. That's a manager who has no clue at this level anymore. The numbers are very stark.
Would he be fired at any other football club?
Any other football club, yes. And I think that for him is a gift and a curse. That Manchester City, there are no consequences even for his failures. A curse, a gift in the sense that, he can continue to build. A curse in the sense that it will become more and more apparent the longer he goes and he cannot crack the Champions League. That maybe he's not all, is cracked up to be. Other managers, you get fired, you go somewhere else, you go and restart. He's going into his 5th year for the first time ever, at any club. And historically, he did what? His 4th year at Bayern, as Barcelona was terrible. He had to take a whole year break to recover from that. He came over to Bayern. So you see Bayern, they've made the Champions League final. He was there for 3 years. He inherited a treble-winning team. Adam Lewandowski spent about 300 million euros. Couldn't crack the final. In fact, he got knocked out of Champions League twice at home. The first time was against, Real Madrid. They got battered 4-1 at home. Was that overthinking as well? So if you've been overthinking for about 10 years, then we need to ask about the quality of the thinking in the first place. If you get what I mean. Second time, I think it was against Atletico at home as well. And then he's come over to Manchester City. He's been knocked out by Monaco. He's been knocked out by Tottenham. He's been knocked out by Lyon. The game against Lyon was Lyon's second competitive game in 5 months. And
that should have been...
Rudy Garcia was employed, I think, was in December or in January. So, exactly. So...
Yes,
the point is simple. He's a good coach, like many other coaches. If you apply the logic that if some managers can't crack a particular, are you the best coach in Europe, but you have not played Champions League final in that time? In that time, Zidane has won it 3 times. Diego Simeone, who's supposed to be finished and football has left him behind, has played the final. Two times. Two times. Even Pochettino has played the final. So he's a good coach. He's had a decent time of it. Manchester City not signing to come and win league titles. Mancini and Pellegrini won 2 league titles in 5 years. He's won 2 in 4. If he doesn't win it next year, it becomes the same level with Mancini. And Mancini and Pellegrini are not They are not the greatest managers we've seen. So he's had a decent time at Manchester City, but this is the holy grail, and you become the greatest by cracking this sort of challenges. It can't just be that you are great because you won the Champions League with probably the greatest collection of players we've ever seen. Literally every manager will manage. I mean, Enrique won a treble with that same collection. This is it. This is the tiebreaker. This is where you are going to say to everybody, this is me. And you've had 4 attempts. Now you can't crack the semi-finals. And you've gone into each one of the second round, and I think was it 3 quarterfinals now. Or you have gone into all those games as favorites. In fact, he's won only 3 knockouts.
And this is not putting in the easy route.
He's actually knocked out. He's actually won only 3 knockout games as Manchester City manager.
I feel like
one is against Basel, one is against Schalke, and he ultimately finally won against Real Madrid. So the numbers does not justify this whole idea that it's some esoteric. It doesn't add up.
I think why they get into this guy case like this now, because of the way we sell the narrative of Pep Guardiola. There are some managers,
the way they bash other managers and don't give them credit.
It's okay, maybe that's true, but that's not his fault. He's not the one that says, "Look at me."
And we're also not the ones who say he should lose to Lyon now.
He's not the one that said, "Look at me," romanticize the fact that I drove all night as Celine Dion sing. Drove all night to Marco Bielsa house to see the guy sit at his feet and watch him do ball. He's not the one that said, "I sat at the feet of Cruyff." No.
No.
Media sell the narrative.
And we are media too.
No, they wanted a football messiah. The guy man just did. Imagine say the guy.
No, but he's back. He's back.
Beat Zidane.
He's back in that glory. Oh yeah, it's been great leverage for him. It's because of that media narrative that means that he cannot be punished at Manchester City.
Just the way Mourinho benefited from a very, very vicious and vitriolic speaking. Is there a word like vitriolic? Vitriol spouting media. Because when they say vitriol, when the media they spout, now make him begin to collect money as the most paid advert guy. He wasn't even in the Champions League. He was collecting more money than the people that won Champions League because of adverts.
No, to be fair, he's actually far more charismatic and more personable.
Guess the thing. It's not his fault. Pep Guardiola's son is not his fault.
Nobody's blaming. We are talking about the football.
Is the one that's supposed to be.
Let's be clear. No.
He didn't come. He has never come at any time to say, "Guy, I'm the one that's going to wow." He had that contract with his employers.
Yes.
His employers, they are still deciding to keep him because I'm not saying they're not getting any club for England. If he say he never do like that, he never do what he's supposed to do. 2 years, they will not pursue like a perfect.
No, to be fair, look, let's be clear.
Now we put our hopes in a false messiah because we enjoy the romantic life.
We are now clearing your eyes that there's no messiah and coach na coach.
But that's the thing. That's where me and you
we
agree
coach.
on all coach na coach,
Exactly.
all dog na dog. Now when we say color, we off light. Now don't go no. In fact, when we're off light, all dog na dog.
No,
we don't know the color.
The point.
So that's all coaches right now because the coach when go win this league. This Champions League,
yes,
he's not gonna be the best coach in the world. Just like when people come and be like, Zidane is the best coach. Nah, he knows a formula to score the Champions League.
But Zidane has won it 3 times.
And so
yeah.
in the time
he doesn't even get any credit.
Doesn't get any credit for it.
In fact, he's still here till tomorrow.
I'm not gonna give her credit. See, credit a lot. He not gonna get because
to wrap this up,
just
to wrap this up, the reality of the matter is that it is clear that Pep Guardiola is finished and football has left him behind. And
I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
Well, of course, I think we have to spare a thought for Buffon, who left Juventus, joined PSG.
Yeah.
And
he left PSG.
To
make it worse, he's now going to be managed by his former team.
That's kind of incredible. Right there. So there you have it. The 2019-2020 season comes to an end. And on NairaBet, we've been having a great time all through the episodes here. It's been good to have Biola for the multiple times we've had him. And
it's been a pleasure every time.
Yeah, COVID tried, but it couldn't quite get past it.
Did you notice how buff he got? Biola came back with looking like a Goretzka. Like he swallowed extra human being for muscle.
Doing great work.
Wow.
Doing great work.
We're bringing sexy back.
Yeah, baby.
So it's also been good to have you. We've certainly enjoyed having your variety on the show, and hopefully next season we're gonna have some more.
Thank you so much, Mr. GQ. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right then, we'll see you next season, which is in about 2 weeks, so we don't have a lot of turnaround time, but we've thoroughly enjoyed having your company here on Kicking It with NairaBet. All the guys in the production have been amazing too, and I'm sure next season we'll probably have 1 or 2 in, of course, on the couch. We'll see you soon.